Hi, team. This is Tim Torres here with the next resource, virtual friendly leadership notebooks. So there's been a lot of questions about, hey, how do we do um, virtual friendly leadership notebooks, or what are some examples of that? And so there's a resource for that. And I'll include the link to this Google Drive um, resource that contains different versions of leadership notebooks. And the great thing is, I say virtual friendly, but these can also be used in hard copy format as well. So what I'm going to do is just kind of walk you through this folder. First, you'll see Leadership Notebook tabs overview. If I click on that, what you'll see is a document that just kind of gives you the gist of what the 5 tabs uh, uh, in a leadership portfolio or notebook look like, and get an idea of like what to put in those 5 tabs. So tab 1 is self, tab 2 is our WIGs, 3 is my learning, where we're tracking our learning, tab 4 is my leadership, and tab 5 is my celebrations. So you can go to this to look further, deeper into it, but I really would like to spend most of the time really focusing on the different types of leadership notebooks and how we might be able to use them with our students. And again, the end in mind is not to have a leadership notebook or a leadership portfolio with our students. It's not to do it, but it's to create experience, and so that our kids actually have ownership over their leadership notebook, and they feel like it represents them and they feel connected to it. That's where we're going to see those the results that we're looking for, not just by doing it and having it, but by the students actually feeling connected to it. So I like to first, I'm going to just go to, this is the K2 version 6836. I'm going to go to the 3.6 version. The others are very similar. So once I explain these documents, I think it's going to help you with no matter what grade level you're in. So I'm first going to look at this master virtual notebook, and you'll see it's in slides format. And so when I do that, if I click on that, what you're going to notice in the master virtual notebook, you'll see some like a cover. And what you'll notice in the virtual notebook is what I did is I actually put text boxes inside of these examples and inside each of the documents. So the students, if they're deciding to use it, they can click on the text box and type into it. And then they're actually able to use these pages in a virtual way. And so the idea here is, and you'll see is, myself, there's some different things here. Then there's my WIGs, and you'll have some examples of things to use. Now, the idea here is not to use every single one of these sheets in a student's in their virtual notebook or in their leadership notebook. We really want them to have ownership. So maybe what I might do is I might look at, let's say, for example, the myself section. I might look at that and say, hey, you know what? I really want, we're going to do this first one as a class. And then maybe I really like for them to do maybe this one, either slide 4 or slide 5. And so I might talk to my class, say, okay, guys, we're going to do this today. And then maybe the next time we'll do slide 5. But what I like for you to do is look through the other slides that are in this master, and whichever one that speaks to you, just pick 1 or 2 more of your choice that you like to play with, or you like to do, or to have in your leadership notebook, and copy those and paste them in your leadership notebook. And I say that like that because if I go to the blank virtual notebook, then you'll see a template, and you'll see where there's the dividing, the dividers there, and then it says copy and paste chosen slides from the master. So the idea is to provide that master to them in a view only format, so that then they can still copy and paste from it, but not without, or they can make a copy of it and then just copy and paste from it, so that they're creating their leadership notebook, and so they're choosing. So the idea here is there's in each section there might be like one or two of those that you are like, yeah, let's do this, and then pick one or two more that speak to you. And because we're doing that now, they're able to take ownership, and we might even say, hey, or create your own slide that you'd like, that you feel like represents you in that section. And so that's there for you to use, and that's the first resource. The next resource, we say, you know what, those slides are great, but that's not, that might not, maybe we don't want to play with the slides. So here's a Google Docs version. And what I did is provided you an example of what it looks like of it being done. It's very simplified. And let me see if I can get this to the top so that we can see it. So for example, you'll see self, and then my favorite picture of myself. What do I want to be known for? And so for the self section, there's questions that they can answer that is kind of revealing more about them. With wigs, the wig section, you can scroll down, and here's a format of wigs, your X to Y by when, your lead measures, your accountability, added celebration, and then tracking by month. And they can, you can change this month and however you want to do it. So, but this is an example of what that looks like. With the learning section, you'll see some examples of what can be tracked in the learning section of, you know, this student created goals, and they actually looked and saw how, how they met those goals. So you'll see math scores, pre and post tests, ELA scores. So there's already these blank graphs here if you want to use with that. So leadership, here's some questions about leadership. I'm going quickly through here just so that you can kind of get an idea. With celebrations, here's some examples of celebrations. And so you'll notice that not all the celebrations are academic. Some of them are like this one, skateboarding down one full flight of stairs without falling off my board, August 23rd. And then it goes to, there's some attendance celebrations here, some testing celebrations here. But this creates that example. And so this is an example of a virtual notebook using Google Docs. And so the blank, if I'm going back, the blank version's here, and I'm going to go ahead and click on that. If I click on the blank version, now it's going to show me just the simplified, some versions of wigs that in a way we can track it, some versions of, graphs that are blank that can be used, and questions, the questions on leadership that can be answered, and then celebrations by month that students can really focus on those good things and focus on their genius and their greatness. So here's a blank that can go with that example. So from there, the last, I guess the last template that I like to show you is this this website. So if you're in Google Suites, you have access to Google Sites. And so this will show you a template of a leadership portfolio using Google Sites. And then, of course, with Google, just so that you know, this isn't going to go to the whole wide world web, but they get to decide who they're sharing it with. And so the idea is that they would share this with you as a teacher and also with their parents. And so you'll see, okay, here's the welcome, and they're actually designing it. They can decide what they're going to add into it, what they're not, what pictures feel like they represent. So here's the welcome page. That might be something we do together. And then then you have the About Me tab that they can give some directions, and then they can just fill out and make it personalize it and make it their own. There's WIGS, academic and personal, my learning, and then my leadership and celebrations. And so at the end, what we did is we taught them how to create their own website. And the website's about their learning and really celebrating who they are. Again, the idea is not to overwhelm anyone. It's to give you different options of what you feel comfortable with using with your students. It's not about what we use with the students. It's about the students connecting to it and them having ownership over it. So hopefully this was helpful to you with kind of deciding, okay, how am I going to do these leadership notebooks? Now, I also wanted to show you there's a K-8 hard copy leadership notebook resource folder here, and that's with all the Google Slides that don't have text boxes already in them. It was meant mainly if you're printing them out, then it looks just a little bit different. It's the same slides, but they look different because they don't have those text boxes. They have lines instead. So that's everything. Hopefully you're able to use this resource in order to make it so that students are actually feeling ownership over their learning, and that they're able to continue to track their progress and celebrate their greatness, their personal greatness, their leadership greatness, their contribution, and their academic growth. Thank you so much. And again, I will put the link in the description of this video.